Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's so nice to film a video because I haven't filmed for a while, but I'm back now with a new language learning resource review video. And this time I'm going to review an ebook which was sent to me by a theater group in Japan. And this theater group is called Nagoya Players, and they make other language learning resources for Japanese and English, and all of the resources are bilingual. So this ebook was published on 18th of January. I got an early access to the book so I could use it and see if I like it. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I wanted to make this video for you guys and let you know what kind of resource it is, and maybe you can use it as well. I'm not sponsored whatsoever, so this is just an honest opinion on this resource. I love to learn the Japanese language or other languages through reading, but reading in Japanese can be quite challenging. So even if you know some vocabulary, and even if you're like upper beginner level and trying to get to the intermediate level, it still can be quite challenging to read in Japanese. And I think most of the people who are learning Japanese for a while now kind of know why. Because you have, of course, kanji and totally different grammar from most languages that I'm used to, or maybe that you are used to. So it takes some time to get adjusted to the language and to be comfortable in reading. So that's why I love bilingual books, because you have the English version and the Japanese version at the same time, and you can go back to the English version when you get stuck. But a lot of the bilingual books that I have used so far don't have Furgana, and I think that's a very important concept in a bilingual learning resource. So this learning resource is different because all the kanjis in here do have Furgana, and I think that's one of the most positive things that I have to say. All the other things are quite positive too, but I really enjoyed this part. So the book that they have sent me is Aesops Fables. In Japanese, it's an easy bilingual reader, and in Japanese, it's called Aesop Monogatari. So yeah, stories of Aesop. So maybe you've heard of Aesop stories. They're quite famous because it's one of the first fables that are being written and told to generations and generations. I think most people are familiar with stories but don't know that maybe it's from Aesop, or don't know it's this whole collection. So a lot of the stories I was familiar with, but it was still quite interesting to read them. And they have been written in English and in Japanese at an easier level than the original stories, because they are meant to be read by children above the age of 12. And also you can read it as a not native English speaker. So you can use this ebook for learning English, or if you're a Japanese native speaker, or for learning Japanese when you're an English native speaker. But I think because the English is very simple, it's meant for young people from the age of 12 years old. So it's meant to also be used in a school setting to learn or English or Japanese, or just to read with your child. But also if your English level is not native, maybe you're intermediate or something, I think you will understand it too. So you can use it even if you're not a native speaker. My cat is here. Yeah, you cannot see it on the camera, but she always likes to sit with me. So yeah, I have obviously used it to learn Japanese, because I've been learning Japanese for a while and I love to learn a language through reading. Then you probably know that the Japanese language exists of 3 different scripts: hiragana, katakana, and kanji, and you kind of have to know all of them to probably read most of the books or news articles. So it can be quite challenging even if you have been learning Japanese for a while. So a manga like this, which should be quite easy for Japanese teenagers, it's very difficult for me because most of the kanji in here don't have any furigana. So when I got this ebook, I was very pleased to see that all of the kanji have furigana above them. And if you don't know what's furigana are hiragana that are above the kanji to kind of show you what's the reading of that kanji. So in this ebook, every kanji that they use have Furgana above them. And I really like this because in other bilingual books that I have, like this one, they introduce the kanjis with Furgana, and then when you read further and you encounter those kanjis again, they don't show you the Furgana anymore. And I think the idea behind this is when you see the Furgana, when you see a kanji for the first time and you learn how to read it and you continue reading, you should kind of or remember it or go back and see it again and try to remember it again. But that does mean that when you're reading this book, you have to go back and look up a meaning, which is great for your memorization, but it kind of takes the fun out of reading. So when you're reading this ebook, you don't have to go back and look up the kanjis because they all still have Furgana, and you can just read quite fast through the stories. Another thing that I liked about this ebook is the fact that the stories are quite small. So most of them are between 100 and 300 words. So reading a story maybe takes you, I don't know, it depends of course on what level of Japanese you are, but for me it was somewhere between 10 minutes and 30 minutes just to read through it one time, and then I will go back and see if I can learn some of the kanjis or if I encountered some new words. And I did learn a lot of new words through this ebook. I think the level for this ebook is somewhere between 4 and 3. So that's the next point that I want to talk about. Most of the time you have a lot of books start at beginner level. So books that are very easy to read when you just learn hiragana and katakana, and are mostly meant for N5 level. And then you have books that jump to intermediate level or advanced level, like the other book like I just show you. I think this is more upper intermediate advanced level, so it's pretty hard. It's interesting, but it's pretty hard, and it's very difficult to find books that are meant for upper beginners, pre-intermediate levels. So I think this book does a great job in being just that, being a book that is really meant for pre-intermediate, upper beginner levels, and it's a level that I am at right now. So reading the stories, the grammar that has been used in this book is not too difficult, as well as in English as in Japanese. I think the grammar is the grammar is more like JLPT N4, and the kanjis, sometimes you see N1 kanjis, but because of Furgana you can look up the word very fast. But most of the kanjis are JLPT N3 level. So I think this is a great step from someone who is not a beginner anymore and wants to go to like this intermediate level, and it makes the learning experience not intimidating. Yeah, it's kind of fun to go through this book and just to learn new words without being stuck like in a sentence and have to look up kanjis and spend time more on looking the words up than reading. I think when you want to read in Japanese, but also of course learn through reading, it's important to choose a book that has like 10% of words that you don't know, and the other words are words that you do know, or kanjis that you do know, because then you kind of get through the book and learning those 10% that you don't know, and also focusing on the sentences is a lot easier. So like the grammar that's being used in the sentences, without being stuck on a lot of words that you don't know, and without being stuck with the fact that you don't understand the meaning of a sentence or even the meaning of the whole story. So that's why I really enjoyed this book and would recommend to you guys if you're at this level. I will show you how it looks when you open it up on your computer. I think it's almost the same how it would look on your Kindle device. And I don't know if you can see it good, but this is one of the stories, and I think it's not very well, maybe you can see it. So it's parallel. The English story is parallel to the Japanese story, and I really like this because when you're reading a Japanese story and you don't know what a sentence or a word means, you can skip through the you can turn to the English part and look it up, the sentence that you're reading, and it makes it easier without going back or forth. Before every story, you have key phrases that are being used in the story, and you can look through the key phrases before you start out reading the story. I think the light changes a lot, I'm sorry. So at the end of the book, you also have all of those key phrases combined, so you can learn the key phrases on the end of the book as well. So I really like this because, yeah, you kind of have like this vocabulary list or phrases list that you can use yourself and learn. And at the beginning of every story, they also have pointed out how many words the story contains, so you know how long the story is going to be before you start reading it, which is, yeah, I think it's pretty good. Not a lot of bilingual books do that. So I told you all the things that I loved about this book. So min points. The thing that you cannot do in this book is highlight. So if you have a sentence or a word you want to highlight, it's not possible in this ebook. For me, it wasn't that like fortunate because I don't highlight a lot in the e-reader. So in my ebooks, most of the time, if I highlight something, it's not that quite often for me. But if I highlight something, it will be in a physical book, and most of the time I just like annotate some of the things. But in an ebook, I don't annotate or highlight much. So, but it's something to be aware of. You cannot highlight in this edition. And also it's only like available for Kindle. So you, of course, you can make a Kindle account and read the book on your computer. I think it's possible. Yeah, because I can do it. So I think it's possible. But yeah, if you have an e-reader which is not a Kindle, then it's, I think there are ways, of course, to do it, but maybe it's a little bit difficult. But further, I really enjoyed this resource, and yeah, I don't have a lot of negative things to say about it. So that's also why I make this video, because I loved it so much. I hope you, if you want to try it out, you will also like this resource, and that it will be like something good for your Japanese language learning. And like most ebooks, it's not very expensive. I think it's somewhere between 2 or 3 euros or dollars. I will show like the actual price here. So if you are interested in this book, you can of course buy it yourself. And I will also link down below the website of this theater group, Nagoya Players, because their whole website is bilingual, which I think is pretty amazing. On the website there is of course no Furgana, but still, if you are a little bit more intermediate, advanced level, I think it's interesting to read their website and all the news and information, because it is bilingual. So you have the English and the Japanese version. And I really want to thank this theater group for sending me this book, because yeah, it kind of showed me how bilingual books can be effective, because so far I tried out multiple bilingual books and most of them were a little bit advanced for me. So it was interesting but advanced. Recently I have also purchased a bilingual book from Alice in Wonderland, which is my favorite fairy tale, but there were like no Furgana at all. So reading it is very slow for me and very difficult. So that's why I enjoyed this experience so much, because it was no trouble getting through the book. But still, I had the feeling that I have learned a lot. This theater group makes more language learning resources for Japanese and English, and they have published more books. So you can check out their website and see if there's anything you like. So let me know down below if you have already used this book and or their previous books, and if you enjoyed it or not. And also let me know what kind of other Japanese language learning resources you want me to review. And I will see you next time. Goodbye!